Welcome to today's Tanya Shiur. Today is Nisan, the 28th of Nisan, and the Alter Rebbe is speaking. We're holding the end of chapter 42, Parak Mem Beis. The Alter Rebbe is speaking about how a person, when he wants to contemplate about Hashem and build a fear of Hashem, he should imagine a person is standing in front of him, and whatever he wouldn't do in front of a person because he's embarrassed because it's the wrong thing to do, he should not do. Also now, even though no one's there in front of him, because really Hashem is there in front of him. So now the question arises, how could you have the same fear if a person you can physically see, but Hashem you can't really see, so you can't have that real fear? Really think about the fact that when you're afraid of a person, what are you afraid of? Him, his physical body, or his premise, his etzem? The answer is his etzem. How do we know? Because when you're afraid of a king, what about when he's sleeping? Are you really afraid of him then? The answer is no. Why? Because although his guf is there, his guf isn't what makes you afraid. It's his etzem, it's his premise, which right then is, at that moment, his etzem of being a king isn't there because he's sleeping. So he can't really do anything to you. And therefore you're not afraid of him. And when a person's pneumius cannot be seen physically, rather it's something you have to think about, and knowing that the pneumius of the person is there, and thus you will have a fear of his pneumius. So it's based off seichel. So through you seeing his physicality, his guf, you're not afraid of his guf, but you see that obviously if he has a guf, there's a pneumius, there's a chayis behind his guf giving life to him. If so then how will we know what's in the analogy, right? What's going to be Hashem's body in our world? We don't see anything there represents Hashem. The Alter Rebbe says, when a person sees Hashem's constellations, his stars, his sun, and his moon, therefore, what's going to happen? He'll say, okay, I see these things, and I see that what? There must be a pneumius behind them, something that's giving them life, and therefore he'll know that Hashem is there. Now the Alter Rebbe gives us a note. We see that not only do we see their existence, but we see how their greatness, the sun and the moon, which are great planets, they are batal to Hashem. How do we know? Because every day they bow down to Hashem. When do they bow down? When they circle the earth, they rise from west. Sorry, they rise in the east and set in the west. So they're bowing down in the west. The west is where the Shekhinah is in the Ma'ariv. And therefore we see that all these constellations, the stars, sun, and moon, are all bowing down to Hashem. They're all batal to Hashem. So they're all bowing down towards the west. It's a derech of bittul, of being nullified before Hashem. So, fine, that was the Agah. Now, sorry, we're still part of the Agah. We're still in the Agah. The Alter Rebbe says, now, what if a person never saw the king before, right? Excuse me. Even so, a person, nevertheless, if a person, let's say, never saw the king, but he walks into the king's chambers, and there's many rooms before he gets to the king, and there's guards, and there's sergeants, and there's officers. So even though he didn't see the king, he could still be afraid of the king because of the king's soldiers and the king's guards. So too, in the analogy, a person will be afraid of Hashem, even though he can't see him, he can see his creations and his soldiers, which are the stars, the sun, and the moon. Right? And even though, when a person looks at the stars, the sun, and the moon, he's seeing Hashem in a way, right? Through many levushim, meaning many clothings, many things that are covering over Hashem. Because Hashem is in the etzem of the sun and the moon and the stars, and you're seeing the alpha. So there's a big separation. Nevertheless, let's go back to our example of the king. A king has there's no difference between a king when he's wearing many clothing. Let's say in the winter, when he's cold and he's wearing scarves and hats and jackets and sweaters and many blankets, or when he's in the summer and he's wearing very few clothing. Whether a king is in wearing many clothing or less clothing, you still have the same fear. So too, when we see the stars, sun, and the moon, we can't see Hashem himself, but we see Hashem covered up with many levushim, but that should not stop us from building up a fear of Hashem, just like we have a fear of a king, whether he's wearing many clothing or less clothing. Ella, so what's the ikar? What are we looking at for the king? Ella ikaru hergil dati machshav tamid lias kavua believe umaychay tamid asher kol masher raya beina b'shmayim v'aretz u'malaya hakol hem levushim v'chitzeinim shalach hakadosh baruch hu. The ikar is that we should become used to. We give ourselves a hergil, a nature that whenever we see these things, we build that fear of Hashem, because we know Hashem is really behind these things. And through this, he'll remember always that what's giving them their chayes, it's really Hashem. This is hinted in the word emunah, meaning seemingly we said a few days ago that how do we build a fear of Hashem? We can't do it through seichel, we have to do it through emunah. It's pure belief, right? We're saying here now that it's a piseichel, that we think and we say, oh, the sun is there and there must be someone giving the sun energy. So here we're saying it's seichel, and the other day we're saying it is emunah. Which one is it? So we answer, it's really both. We see the idea of seichel in emunah. How? Or that we see the idea of getting yourself accustomed to emunah. What does the word emunah mean? Emunah means getting yourself used to. Like we see an uman is a professional, someone who has a profession, a craftsman. So why is it called an uman? Because Shema Min Yadav, the Rebbe says, he trains his hands into doing certain things. So really it comes from his seichel. His seichel knows how to do the thing, but he's training his hands how to make the keli or how to put together the instrument or whatever he's making. So to here, the person will have amunah, but that amunah really comes from seichel. The Gamlis is the current Talmud, Lashon Chazal, Kabbalah Samach Shemayim, Shehu Ke'inyan Shevdes Melach HaMelech, that a person should always be thinking of how great Hashem is. How? By having Kabbalah Samach Shemayim. Like we know, it says you have to place upon yourself a king. So by you accepting Hashem's kingship, you are having Kabbalah Ol. Like we explained elsewhere. We mentioned in Parak Malach, the previous chapter, Hashem bestows his kingship upon us, and we accept it thereafter. That's why after Kriyashma, when we accept Kriyashma is about accepting Hashem's yoke, right? We're accepting Hashem's oneness and Hashem's kingship, and only after that do we bow. We have the physical bow. Why? Because after we said with our mouth, which is not a very physical thing, we said the words that we kept upon Hashem. We want to show that we're actually doing it b'maisa with action. As we know, action is the ikar, maisa ikar, and therefore we actually bow. We physically show how we're battle to Hashem in Shemaina Esrei. So that concludes today's Tanya. And in short, although a person cannot physically see Hashem, we could see Hashem through the things He makes, like the stars, the sun, and the moon, and how they are bowing down to Him. So, like we see by the mashal of a king, and we don't see the king himself in his chambers, but we see his guards and his soldiers bowing down to him. Through that, a person will build a fear of Hashem, and this will help him do his avodah properly. Everyone for joining today's Tanya Shiur.